There's been good news coming out of power utility Eskom, the state-owned entity, announcing the completion of Medupi power station after more than a couple of years, really 10 years, as the final unit turned into commercial operation. But not only that, the unbundling of Eskom's 3 units is moving with pace. Bheki Nxumalo is Eskom's group executive for the Capital Division. He joins us now to tell us what all of this means for South Africa's future energy needs. Good evening, Mr. Nxumalo. Thank you very much for joining us. Many analysts have said that the completion of Medupi power station will not do much to put a dent on load shedding. Many people want to know from the power utility if this is true. Do you agree?
Xolani, good evening to you, and also good evening to your viewers at home. Thank you for having me in your program tonight. Xolani, I think first of all, the coming online of the last unity at Medupi power station is a major contribution from an Eskom generation capacity because of its size. And if you look at the units, 794 megawatts that are being added into the national grid, it will definitely make a huge contribution to the reduction of the load shedding that we're currently experiencing as a country. So I'm quite positive that although we will be retiring some of the older units soon, but these Medupi units, because of its size and also once we get the reliability to the levels that we are working towards, it will add a massive energy to alleviate the ongoing load shedding. Thank you, Xolani.
Bheki, there has been a lot of cost overruns. Initially, there are different, costs as to what it was envisaged at the beginning. It would cost the taxpayers. Now we are sitting at 3 times the cost. I remember the Department of Public Enterprises Minister, Pravin Gordhan, saying that the reason we are paying so much higher for electricity is because of the tariffs that have to be used to actually fund Medupi and Kusile construction. But not only that, the corruption that has taken place there at Eskom over the years. What do you say to that?
Thank you, Xolani, for that question. I think for me, to start with in dealing with the issue of cost overrun, it's important that we start in terms of how we started the project itself. I think in terms of pre-planning, what we call the front-end engineering planning as well, I think we didn't do that well. We went into the market with visual scopes because of the time pressure at the time. So that then the scopes were not well defined, which then resulted into a lot of cost overruns. Unfortunately, like you rightfully said as well, the element of corruptions and malfeasances unfortunately dented the way these projects have been delivered. But yeah, the upfront planning from an engineering point of view was also one of the major contributors. Because if you look at most of the mega projects across the world, you would need about 3 to 4 years of upfront planning, which we didn't have when we embarked on this build program. And I think we paid a big price for that, and the lessons have been immense. But yeah, the corruption part of it is the unfortunate part of that situation as well. But yeah, there's been a huge lesson that have been learned. And we are from now on planning to really make sure that this plant is now producing reliably going forward. That's what we are working towards now. Thank you.
Bheki, one other important question, the good news coming over the weekend, of course, of this completion and the last unit coming in to commercialization. And also it came with some news that really we still need at least 2 years to fully, make sure that Medupi is actually operational as it was envisaged. And I saw figures of 13 billion rand more that's still needed in those 2 years to actually make that happen. So did we complete it, or have we not completed it? Do we still need 2 more years? And if so, what do you need the 2 years for?
Thank you for that question, Xolani. I think it also allows me just to unpack that. I think in terms of the power plant Medupi itself on the 6 units, it is complete. Currently, Medupi is running all 6 units on load. So the power plant building is complete. And then let me just also clarify the issue of the 2 years. What does it mean? You will recall, even if we didn't have some of the defects, after the completion of this, there is a period, like 12 months anyway, that we need for the contractor to prove the last unit as well, because every unit has got a period that it needs to be proven. And then what we need to do within that period as well is also to do what is called the guarantees inspection. So part of this 2 years is to deal with those things, to say this is a new unit coming in. It still needs to also go through its guaranteed performance process. Although it's currently this unit, we've been testing it now for the past 7 months. It's been running almost, it's running full load most of the time, so we are quite confident with this performance. But contractually, the contractor still have the guarantee period for this unit, which is the 12 months period. And then the other time that we are also adding, you will recall that part of the defects correction that we experienced on this unit, there were some. We started with the repairs last year. Then there are some long lead item spares that were needed for the milling plants, which are going to start coming in only in October. So we then need to run through the mills during the running period and then to complete those modifications on the milling plant as well and some of the other areas. So that is really what it means. But the station, as we speak now, is capable of delivering full power. So that is just the 2 years is to deal with the guarantee period and also to complete some of the modifications that we have not done, especially for the long lead spares that have been imported overseas. And then the first batch of them will be coming in October. That's what is that 2 years is for.
Bheki, my next question is twofold. Kusile is now obviously the next focus for Eskom. What is the status of that particular project? And secondly, does it mean that once these 2 projects are fully operational, we might see Eskom asking for less and less tariff increases because we've seen astronomical increases in tariffs to fund both Kusile and Medupi Power Station?
Thank you, Xolani, for that question. I think Kusile, we are now having 3 of the 6 units at Kusile fully in commercial operating. We are busy now with Unit 4. We are busy with testing on that unit. We are soon going to be finalizing the stages of this to start with the commissioning of that unit at Kusile. So we're planning to have that 4th unit at Kusile next year, also in commercial operation. And then once these 2 mega projects are completed, in terms of the second question that you have asked, in terms of the tariffs, I think if you recall, Xolani, Eskom has always been talking about the issue of cost-reflective tariffs. I think that's what Eskom is always advocating, that we're not necessarily looking for increasing the cost that is unreasonable, but we are looking at cost-reflective tariffs and also to be able to run this as a business without going back to the shareholder every time. So the issue of cost-reflective tariffs is what Eskom is looking for going forward, Xolani. And that is also going to be governed by the process of applying for those tariffs through the open process of the NERSA process. Thanks, Xolani.
I'm telling you, many of us are breathing through the wound when it comes to the price of electricity these days. Lastly, Bheki, let's talk about the unbundling process. Eskom is actually looking for financial advisors in terms of the unbundling of its three, generation, distribution, making sure that the process is actually smooth. Why are you looking for financial advisors? What's the purpose there exactly?
Thank you, Xolani. I mean, as you know that we might not have all the skills internally within the company. You know that as we are dealing with this unbundling processes, Eskom, there is also a lot of legal matters that need to be dealt with and to ensure that the correct processes, because there's a lot of stakeholders that are involved in this process, that each division as they go separately, but there is funders and all sorts of other stakeholders as well that are involved. So it's important that the process is done correctly. Hence, then the organization is looking for those advisors just to assist in that process, especially with people who have been through similar process, so that we don't repeat the mistakes and end up being causing delays or doing it incorrectly. So that's really what it is there for. Thanks, Xolani.
Bheki Nxumalo, Eskom's head of a capital division unit. Thank you very much for your time. That was the Eskom conversation there, telling us that indeed this completion of Medupi power station is indeed going to make a difference in seeing less and less of load shedding in this country.